Hey everybody, I'm Monty Mont.
And I'm Tiff.
I'm Sharon Ann.
And these
are a few
of our favorites.
Sing.
Oh. Wow. People, welcome back to the show, and we are glad to be here. As you can tell, we got a real singer here because she can blend with Tiff and me. She just did it like nothing. So, we out here again. First off, man, God is good. It's a blessing to be here. Tiff, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. All right, I see you with the natural. I see you.
Yeah. I'm gonna wear my hair
Beautiful.
for about. Thank you so much. I don't usually wear my hair in my natural state, but I'm playing around.
You some beauty tips too. Remember, I sent you some beauty tips.
He told me to put a little apple cider vinegar in just for me, so I'm not listening to mine.
Oh, apple cider vinegar. I haven't that.
That's I know. That's
maybe ingesting it, but not in the hair. That's interesting. Okay.
I know,
guys. We have on the show today. I don't even want to put her in a category. I mean, we got a real jack of all trades, a singer, a musician, a fashionista. I mean, all of this stuff. Miss Sharon Ann is with us today. Sharon, how are you doing?
I'm well. I am well. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is great to have you. I can't even remember. Sometimes I need to do better documenting this. I might have saw a clip of you ministering and singing, and I just was like, wow, okay, wow. The energy was so I said, man, let me see, grab her for the show, and God worked it out. Shout out to Mr. Asaph as well.
Yes,
thank you.
Good people.
Incredible manager. Yeah.
Thank you so much. But so let's get into it. Tiff, go ahead and start us out.
Okay, listen, you know what? And I have to, and I will keep saying this. This is singer, songwriter, and model. Okay, we're gonna get into that fashion. I won't get off of here until we tap into that fashion part, right? So let's just jump into the music part of this. How did you get your start in music and singing? And what are some of your favorite songs?
Oh, that's a loaded question. So let's start here. I know that it's pretty cliche to say, well, I started at a young age, but it's just truth. When I was about probably 4 or 5, I really enjoyed singing everything that I saw on TV, especially the commercials. I would sing along with the commercials. I would harmonize. I didn't even know it was called harmony at that time, but I would pick a note and try to harmonize with whatever was being sung. And so that started about 3 or 4. And then I'm about 7 or 8 years old. My mom and my dad, they started their ministry, Committed to Christ. And my mom needed musicians. She had always wanted to be a musician, but it just didn't happen. She didn't know we were musicians, but she said it like this. She prayed to God. She grabbed some oil. She anointed us and asked God to give us these gifts. And I'm referring to me and my siblings. Okay. And I remember going to the music store, and she bought a drum set, and she brought that for my brother. And I originally wanted to be a drummer, but nevertheless, she placed the keyboard in front of me, and she said, you're going to play that. I had no clue. I didn't want to play it, but you're not going to tell your parents. No, I didn't want to play it, but she said it in front of me. She said, you're going to play that. I didn't have a clue, no clue of what I was doing, but I literally just started playing Mary Had a Little Lamb. I sung it, and I would find the note that matched. And the next thing I know, I was harmonizing with my fingers, the notes. I didn't know they were called chords, but I found out, of course, that was playing by ear, and then so forth and so on. We just grew up, and that's how, it got started. And that passion has been there Truly, it is a gift from God. So I am grateful, that he's given me the gift of being able to hear, to be able to sing, to be able to be a songwriter. I didn't write my first song, I say, until about I was 13. In the school that I went to, they allowed us to perform our projects as well. Like, so if you had a project, you could perform it, you can sing it, you could rap it, however you chose. And so I would often choose to perform my projects. And around age 13, I started writing, and it just went from there, grew from there. I remember as a child, so you mentioned about favorite songs. I remember as a child, I would fall asleep listening to Yolanda Adams, Whitney Houston, Karen Clark Sheard. I would love when her and her daughter Kiera would do duets. I would literally fall asleep. The Preacher's Wife album of Whitney Houston was and still is a favorite of mine. I Believe in You and Me. Let me see, what else did I write down? I Love the Lord, Yolanda Adams, Mountain High Valley Low album, Karen Clark Sheard's Second Chance album. There's so many songs that I love. Ty Tribbett. There's so many, I can't name them all, but those are just the few that have really impacted my life. And then there's still so many. So yeah. So it got that started when I was 3 or 4. Started playing when I was about 7 or 8, the keys, and wrote when I was 13. My mom took me to travel along with her, would take me to travel along with her as she traveled and ministered. And that's pretty much the genesis of it. Yeah.
So I know you mentioned that you picked up obviously playing by ear.
Yes.
Do you still play by ear, or do you actually like read music now?
I do not read music. I still play by ear. And I've had some training here and there in my later years, I want to say 20s, because I had no clue of what certain chords were, because I was never professionally trained. I never went to school for it. So I didn't get that until my latter years. Yeah.
That's
so
okay.
but I don't
like
read. That's the thing. I don't read. I still don't read music.
It's a gift from God, just like you said.
Yeah. It's just a gift. Yeah. It's a gift. I'm grateful for it. Yeah.
So interestingly enough, oh man, it looks like, I see Asaph. Oh, I thought he was getting in for a second. I'm gonna tell this quick story, y'all, because you said the preacher's wife.
Okay.
I'm young, and I remember we went to the movies. Me and a bunch of us went to go see that movie, and the song "I Believe in You and Me." Mm-hmm. Now, young Monty, I was going through a little breakup at the time, right? So I remember everybody, all my friends was digging the song, like, I believe in you. I remember I was just sitting there like, I don't believe in nothing, man. I was so mad. And then
you was hurt.
He was hurt.
All of my feelings. But I play that soundtrack till today still. That's awesome.
So do I.
Soundtrack.
It's a dope soundtrack.
I want to ask you then, do you have any, in terms of either musically or singing, because I wonder with singers, any influences, like anybody that you tried to like emulate either in your singing or your playing, you know what I mean?
I actually named a few people that have really just inspired me, like I said, Whitney Houston, Yolanda Adams, Karen Clark, the Clark sisters, Kiera. I'm old school too. I love old school music, so I'm an old soul. So you got like Anita Baker. You have these different ones.
Don't you do it.
That, BB and CC, there's so many to list that have really inspired me, musically. I like to look at myself as a just mixed bag. It pertains to musicality and different things that have inspired me, musicians and singers and songwriters. They're inspirational, they're Christian, they're secular. They all have played a part in helping me kind of figure out who I am today. I couldn't possibly just, be a carbon copy. You don't want to be a carbon copy of
Right.
someone else, but you can definitely be inspired. And there's such a long list, the ties to Fred Hemmings and yeah, of different ones that have inspired me. I mean, it's a long list.
I definitely understand.
I have a large catalog of music that I have thoroughly enjoyed. I went back and was just listening to, you know, some Yolanda Adams and records today, and some Karen Clark records as well. So it's just, yeah, it's a long list.
Because the people that you are drawing influence from, and some of the artists that I think that you've mentioned, even though they're old school, we're talking about timeless music right here.
Yeah, timeless.
This is timeless stuff. Like,
Timeless.
so we're gonna always be able to play this stuff. And I know Anita Baker, like I can listen, that's my girl right there. And I can listen
I can.
Karen Clark Sheard, like any day of the week. Seriously.
Yeah,
you're talking about some timeless artists that make
timeless
music.
Absolutely.
One of the things that happened to us in this pandemic is the church left the building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a praise and worship leader, how has it been adjusting to the pandemic? Has that affected your approach to ministering at all?
No, actually, I left the building years ago. I mean, because my vision for ministry is not based upon the four walls. The ministry is outside of the first walls, the four walls. Anyhow, the only reason why we gather together is one. I mean, we when we come together, first, it's always good to come together collectively just to lift up the name of Jesus, and we draw from one another, we learn from one another, but we really refuel so we can go out and gather other souls that we can disciple others and also bring them in. But it's not just into the house of God, it's literally to be one of God's children, to be saved. That's the terminology of bringing them in. And so it has not affected me whatsoever. I mean, although the building was closed, ministry was never, you know what I'm saying? So when we had to close our doors out of caution and safety, take safety measures, you know, I still was there. We still recording, still going live, you know what I'm saying? So it really didn't affect me personally with what I do here at my home church, Committed to Christ, here in Arlington, Texas. But of course, you know, traveling was shut down as far as, you know, going and traveling with Ty and doing background and things of that nature. That kind of, you know, ceased for a moment. But other than that, no, we were still thriving in the pandemic. Still.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
I want to ask one more question, and we're going to take a quick break. But I do remember now when I first saw a clip of you, you were actually doing some background stuff for a song, a Martha Munizzi song, and you just had your mic and you were just recording some vocals. And so, and I remember that's where I saw it. And so what do you kind of prefer? Do you kind of like that studio? You know, some people, I should say, kind of like that studio setting where it's intimate and they're just kind of recording and, you know, they live in a studio, or some people like more that live experience. Do you have a favorite or a preference I
prefer live experience, but I have experience with studio. Funny thing is that my album that will be coming out is studio live. It's a mix of studio live, but I will forever always prefer the live experience. It's just something about being around other people. You draw energy from. I mean, it's an amazing experience to connect with people in the audience, to be able to pour into people, to be able to minister, to be able to have fun and enjoy God, enjoy one another, enjoy the atmosphere. There's nothing like, you can't get that in the studio. You just can't. Yeah. You can't do it. So I do prefer live, but if I have to do studio, I will. So there are times where I do studio work, but me personally, you know, Sharon likes to be around others. Live.
Watching
Live for me,
watching
baby.
you live, I got that feeling. I got the feeling.
I did too. There's an energy, right?
energy,
When
I
I
just-
pulled up
yeah.
the videos, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's an
figured
it was
that
like
much.
we were there. Like I was there. There's
Yeah.
definitely an energy that you give off when you're performing live, for sure. Yes.
Guys, we're gonna take a quick break and then we're gonna come right back with some more. We got a couple more questions with Miss Sharon Ann. It's a great conversation we're already having. We'll be right back.
Today's episode of the Shareholders Podcast is brought to you by Wardley Real Estate. If you are in search of a realtor, maybe looking to sell, buy, or rent, get in contact with Lakeisha Myers for all of your home buying or selling interests. She's an agent that puts herself in your shoes and helps you focus on the immediate goal at hand, and that is making sure you find the right home that meets your standards. Reach out and give her your vision and you will not be disappointed. Don't wait, contact her now, because remember, you can make your dream of becoming a homeowner a reality by taking this first step. You can contact her by phone, email, or check out her website at lakeishamyers.wardleyre.com. That is again lakeishamyers.wardleyre.com, or on Instagram at Live Love Vegas Homes. Please check her out. You will not be disappointed.
Okay, we are back with Miss Sharon Ann, and I have another question. When you're collaborating with producers and other artists and musicians, do you have like a specific approach, or is each kind of situation different?
Well, each situation is different. It all depends on what is happening, what I may be hired to do, or what we're collaborating on. For example, if I am looking for a specific record for my album, there are times where I reach out and I shoot out an idea via a voice memo and I say, look, I'm looking for this, and I spell it out musically, making sounds and so forth and so on. And they take that and they go and use their creativity and bring it back and say, okay, so what do you think about this? How does this sound? And we work like that. There are some producers who know my vibe. I am just the type of person, I like out the box. I like for you to be super creative. I like that wow factor where people are just like, whoa, wait, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
I like to take the tracks that people will say, I'll pass that up. That's a bit too much, or that's a little weird. That's unique, different. I don't know if that fits me. And I like to take that and make it work. There are producers and musicians that know that about me. And so, they send tracks of that sort. If I am vocally producing someone's record, you mentioned like Martha Menenzi, I vocally produced her album, her latest single is Glorious, and literally vocally arranging and producing that album meant that, I had to take whatever melody is given to me and create harmonies and create ideas with it. So that approach can be different. I can't pinpoint that every time I sit in front of my mic and my studio and listen to the song that it always comes the same way. There are some times where I see things before I sing them. There are times where I am just literally just spewing out different ideas. And I'm inspired, one, by instruments. So I say, oh, okay, this is what a keyboardist would do. And this is what a horn player would do. And so I'm singing parts that would emulate that of a keyboardist, or maybe a drummer, or maybe a bass player, or maybe a trumpet player, things of that sort. And one of the latest things that I did in regards to an a cappella cover that I did for Your Spirit, I pictured a merry-go-round. And people are like, what? What is that? But there's a certain part of the song that gives you the feeling that you're literally on a merry-go-round. And I put that in the song vocally. So every approach is different. But I will tell you that it's God. Some things I sit back and I say, oh, wow, yeah, that was me. I did that. I created
Wow.
that. And sometimes I have to go back. There are times where I've recorded things and done things, and I have to go back to hear it in order to remember what I did. So, every approach is different, every circumstance is different, but it ends with the same result. Same
Yeah.
result. Different approach, but same result. Yeah.
Tiff, I'm gonna skip to this next question and I'm gonna leave you. I know you want to get into the one, so okay, so I want to ask you this because when I watched you live and I saw some things like on your social media, you really do. You kind of just hit us with it, and it's like, wow. And you already have inspired me. Because let me tell you, first of all, y'all, music heads might not know this, but Miss Sharon is a proponent of the keytar. The guitar is like a guitar, but it's with the keys. I remember, I think I saw Prince first do it when I was a kid, and I was just like, oh my God, wow. But, coming up Kojic and then coming up in church and stuff, I didn't really see a lot of folk rocking guitar, so I just figured my guitar days was over with. Then I see Sharon out there just all on the scene with it. I said, hold up, man, I'm gonna have to get me one now and just rock it, so I'm already inspired. But I want to ask you, do you ever feel like people were trying to put you in a box, like, oh, maybe don't do all of that, or, keep it a little more, tone it down a little bit? Have you had to stuck with that as an artist and as a leader in praise and worship?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely have. I mean, I just think that issue arises because it's something that's unfamiliar. And when you are someone who may have grown up a certain way and you're not accustomed to being in a more lively atmosphere, if you were taught that women could not wear pants, if they could not, move the way that I move or be in the position that I am in, it can be uncomfortable. A lot of it just is what we're taught. And therefore, that's all you know. But I will say this, I'll say the energy, the dance, all of the things that I do comes from God. God created dance. And one thing the enemy does is he likes to take what God creates and try to duplicate it and distort it and make it negative. See, if the enemy had never had taken dance and distorted it and sexualized it, we wouldn't have anything to compare it to. But a lot of people, all they see nowadays, are video girls dancing and energy, and this is not allowed in the church. But honestly, in other cultures, and I've been to Africa, I've been to other places where the cultures, they're so lively and they're dancing and their energy, they're hopping, they're skipping, they're jumping, and their heart's intent is to bless God. It's all about intent. It's all about the purpose behind what you're doing. And everything that I do is to bring glory to God. It's not to bring attention to self. So, a lot of times people, again, they only go off of what they grew up with, what they were taught. And some of them have not had that experience of being other places and worshiping with other cultures. You know what I'm saying? And so, I don't blame them. I tell you what, it's not going to stop me from doing me and being who God called me to be. I'm very sure about who God has called me to be and what he's called me to do. And I'm very wise. So at the end of the day, people are always going to have opinions. But you know what the great thing about opinions are? They're just opinions. They're not facts. And facts are always true. The fact of the matter is, I know my heart's intent, and I know that my energy and my dancing and my singing and all of that glorifies God. And that's a fact. And their opinion will never be able to compare against the fact and the truth.
Nice.
Listen, so what I love is that, and Monty mentioned this, you are a Jane of all trades, okay? You do so much, singer, songwriter, musician, and model. So let's tap into this fashion. Can we? Okay.
Okay.
About you know, where your sense of style comes from and where you see yourself going with fashion.
Okay. You know what? Fashion, I think it literally caught me off guard because I was so into, you know, just the music side of things. But of course, I always love to look and present myself a certain way. But I think over the years, I've evolved. I've always been a person who loved to challenge myself. I love to experiment, try things out. Let's see if that's going to work. It's not going to work, so forth and so on. So I think that was key in my development in fashion. Thus, you see, I have no hair on the sides and the back. I'm just completely bald and hair on the top. I've had red hair. I have silver hair. I mean, I've had so many different styles. And then I've always had this knack for fashion. And I just think that over time, by just being around certain individuals and being inspired by certain people in the industry that I thought looked amazing with their pieces, you know, I kind of took that and started doing my own thing. Before I relocated to Dallas, Texas, you know, I lived in Wisconsin and I was a fan of Jay Bolin. I don't know if you guys are familiar with who he is, but he is a celebrity stylist and a fan of his work. I never thought I would get an opportunity to work with him, but when I moved to Dallas, I was introduced to him at an event that I was singing at. And I was able to give him a CD. The young lady introduced us and she told him how I was a fan of his work. And about a year later, we connected and I became one of his models. And I think from there, I was even inspired by his work.
Yeah.
And so I would take some of the ideas that I had learned from him and applied it to myself. And therefore, listen, here I am today. So I think that's pretty much how it got to start. I started modeling when I was in Wisconsin. I would go back and forth to Chicago and had a few jobs, few commercials. And then in transition, it kind of died down until I was able to get my footing here and get myself established here. And so I think working with him just really sparked that back, that fire within me for fashion again. And so here you have it. I just love classy. I love edgy. I love eclectic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love so many styles. 80s, I mean 90s, 60s. It's whatever I'm feeling. It's whatever I'm feeling. And I love to mix and match. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a mix of everything.
Love that. Well, I'll be looking.
Yeah, and you know what? I appreciate it. And I do see myself furthering and going higher with that. I know you asked about that. You know, I'm talking about commercials. I'm talking about makeup, Maybelline. I'm talking about all of the different stuff, you know, that we see in mainstream. That's where I see Nike, all of the above. I want to take it there. And that's a goal of mine. I believe that's definitely going to happen. You know, the whole modeling, the whole acting piece. I act too. Been in a few plays and independent films that have won awards, and I have goals with that as well. So I am definitely a lover of the arts and a creative, you know, in my heart.
Guys,
for sure.
We are finishing up an amazing interview with Sharon Ann. This has been so great. I want to just real quick though, you said such a key point. You said you were in Wisconsin and you had been a fan of Jay Bolin's work, and then moving your location put you in a position to actually meet with him. And I'm a big believer that a lot of your destiny is tied to your geography and where God places you in certain times. And I love that you said that and gave us a little insight in that, because not telling everybody they got to move or anything like that, but being where you were, you might not have ever met him and had the opportunity.
Exactly.
But you know,
and that's definitely divine. It is, because moving here, I had been able to connect with a lot of artists that I grew up with and work with them. Kirk Franklin, Fred Hammond, all these different ones. When I first moved here, a month later, I was on tour for the Festival of Praise tour, doing background vocals, you know. And so I am a true believer that it was, you know, divine that God, you know, lifted me and my family from where we were and shifted us here to Texas, you know. So I'm a believer with you.
Listen, and it would have to be God to get me to Dallas, Texas, because I'm not a Cowboys fan at all. But anyway, that's a different conversation.
Yes, and let me say this too. And I would not have been able to connect with Ace of Ward, the Ace of Ward, who has produced many of my favorites.
Oh my!
You know, so that right there is a blessing.
Hey, listen, young people, if you don't know, go look the name Ace of Ward up and
Google.
You're gonna be surprised, but
Google.
Yeah, Google him, as they say. Go Google him. But last question. This has been so great. If you could just, I know it's probably a lot of places you go with this, but what is the best thing about doing what you do? What is the best part about that, or what do you get joy from in doing what you do?
That is a vast question, but there are a few things. Well, there are quite a few things that I enjoy. I like serving people. I like seeing people blessed, inspired, and encouraged by the music that I put out, inspired and pushed, you know, by me training them and helping them become the best that they can be by pulling out the best in them. I love that. That's affirming to me to see other people be helped, to see other people be blessed. So that's one aspect of it. The freedom in being able to create how I choose to create is another benefit, where I don't have to feel like, you know, I have to be what someone else wants me to be, but I can be everything that God told me and predestined me to be. And I can use the creativity that I so desire to use. I think that when you're able to work in a field that you're really passionate about, even though it's hard work, it's rewarding. It's definitely rewarding to be able to enjoy what you do. So vocally producing and arranging and songwriting and training and doing background vocals and modeling and acting, all of these things, it takes work, but God gives me the grace to do it all. And I'm grateful to have that freedom. You know, a lot of people say, you do a lot. I do, but there is still this freedom that I have that I wouldn't have if I had to just be stuck to a 9 to 5. And so God has been so faithful to allow me to be able to serve, you know, my ministry and still be able to serve at my church, serving my personal ministry and do the things that I love to do, serving others, you know, helping them, writing for them, so many other things, you know. So yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
That is so great to hear. Please let people know where because guys, she has an EP out. She's got another single named Bizzle, which I love that song as well. But let people know.
Oh, right.
You got projects coming out. So where can they find you and stuff?
Okay, so yes, you can definitely find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ms. Sharon Ann. That's MZSHARONANN. You can visit my website at www.sharonannmusic.com. Pandora, iTunes. The latest single will be coming late. I think we're projecting late spring. Spring. So we're excited to share with everyone. So by all means, please connect with me so you can be informed.
Absolutely. We gotta have a listening party when it comes.
Hey,
yes. Yeah, that would be lovely. Asim and I had been talking about that. And so we're going to be doing some various things. And I'm sure that's something that we can hook up to do. Absolutely.
Sounds amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Tiffany and Monty. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not playing, y'all. When you see me with the guitar, y'all go talk to Sharon because she made it cool. And I'm for real. I'm about to get off of this. I'm about to go looking online. Hey, Sunday mornings, it's on now. So thank you, Sharon. Tiff, you got anything else?
No, this was great. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank
Guys,
you.
you
Thank
can
you.
find us, of course, our favorite sings podcast, Mighty Shark Network. We still putting out great things. I mean, as you see, I love meeting new folks, and they're always so genuine and sweet and wonderful. So stay with us. We got some more coming. You know what to do, though. Be blessed. Stay sharp.
A few of our favorite singers.